Hi friends, my name is Borodante and welcome back to Overpain of a candy hero thing. So, here we are. You friends had a lot of cool ideas to improve the sketch, and thank you very much. Now, the main things that I got out of that is that this spike is facing too high, the hands are kinda too small. Let's actually open back the reference. There we go. Yeah, you can see that arms are really big, and in the new sketch they're really small, like even small for a human. The best way to check that is to imagine this hand cover about this amount of space, and it should basically cover the whole face. See? How much proof do you need? Anyway, also more than one person said that this bend of a shin, I looked it up, it's called shin, is too strong, too extreme, so maybe we'll fix it a bit to make it a bit more straight. And also, one thing that I noticed, no one really said anything about it, but I really feel like we should make the whole legs part bigger. They're small, they're almost like arms, so we really should make legs bigger. Also, I think we should redraw the shield. Right now, it doesn't really look like it's in 3D space, kinda looks flat. And also someone said that the hero is holding the shield a bit unconfident, so we'll fix that as well. What else? I don't know, everything else seems kind of cool. So let's make these fixes fast and then move on to rendering. Not sure if we'll be able to render it well in one episode, so maybe even next episode. Again, I'm not rushing anywhere anymore. Let's erase the shield, then scale up the legs. This is not a mistake. And then move on with the smaller ones. Right? Feels a lot more like legs now. Especially considering that the camera is lower, so we're closer to legs. So it definitely makes sense here. Alright, let's fix the bend. I think it's mostly about the foot, I guess. Okay, basically just the shield and the second hand left, so let's remove that. And let's think on the shield. I still kinda like the idea of the precious stone shield, like the diamond or something. Or not really diamond, like some kind of magical stone. But I actually have no idea how to render that to make it like really look awesome. Well, it's a good place to experiment, so maybe we'll do that anyway. But for now, let's first think on the actual perspective, because that's more important. So I think he should probably kind of like tilt it a bit towards the camera, so it will look cooler. So it would more be of this kind of, right? Because that's the way you hold it usually, like this. So his arm is presumably gonna be holding the shield with two strips, two holders like this. That's how they usually do it, right? And so his arm is gonna be like this, a bit lower with the strip. We're going with 4-finger arm, or like this. Yeah, this looks the best. I mean only actual 4 fingers. So presumably like that. Kind of a nice shape of the shield. Will it look good in the mirror? Yeah, kind of cool. Only maybe a little bit wrong here. Here. So this is the kind of shape it has. It's bent forward, bent outwards. We're not gonna see the scarf now though. Let's redraw it in maybe a stronger wind or something. It should be higher. Kinda like that. The strips, the holders, probably should kind of like be positioned more in the center of the shield, right? That would make sense. Like it would work better for the defense. Let's try to move that. Hopefully it's not gonna ruin anything. Moving it a couple of pixels, everything goes to shit. Just horrible picture. Kinda like that. I wanna save some kind of space in between him, like actual holes for the image. I don't know why, I think it's gonna just read better. Okay, so let's make some sort of like a metal plate. Although I don't want to look too weird, so it would stay readable, you know. But we need to have like a metal plate that would fix the holder for the arm on the shield, because the shield itself is of stone. So we have this kind of plate, and it probably has like big bolts. Following the cartoonish logic, I suppose, big bolts are the way to go. Let's add some volume, kind of like that. Okay, I like it. Still a bit messed up perspective on the holder. Okay, now let's think through the main part of the shield, and that will be the last thing we do in the sketch. I feel like when we did very small, like a lot of faces on it, like when it has a lot of chunks on its surface, like this type of stone, it looks kind of like it doesn't have actual center in its own composition, so it doesn't really look pretty. I think let's use like a very huge chunk. Let's see. Okay, let's actually look up some stones. Oh, hell no. I'm not doing this. Well, I mean, we actually do need something more simple. And also not an actual diamond. Just looking for something to be inspired by. Well, these shapes look simple enough. Well, they don't actually look all that amazing to me. So I guess we can just, you know, improvise the way I always do. So probably around the holder there will be a big flat face. Voice. And down there as well. And probably it kinda have also this kinda spike going out here. Moved the main silhouette a bit to the side to show the volume. The shield should have thickness to it. So from here, I suppose we just go with like really huge thick faces like this. Okay, kinda cool actually. Let's show a little bit of that thing from the other side to kind of be able to use it for rendering this distortion of the light rays in it later. Although I have no idea how to actually pull that off without a very specific reference of the same shape. So something like that is going on the other side. Basically going the same way outside. Okay, this actually looks like a pretty cool solid shield. I kinda like it. Maybe we'll play a little bit with the shape of the holder. It kinda feels lame now that it's just rectangular, right? We'll see, we'll probably do that little thing in color. Okay, I guess we're done with the sketch then. The old one, the new one. Okay, now we have a really cool, very detailed sketch with tiny lines that will be really cool to work with while rendering, hopefully. Okay, one thing though, I feel like we should move the whole composition a bit higher, right? Because we made the legs bigger, so kinda like that. Oh yeah, he's so cool. Like, I fixed everything I wasn't really happy about before. It really looks like a cool image. Oh, I remember also someone said that the legs are a bit too thin. And I think I agree right here, for instance. They shouldn't go slim at that area like that. That's really all we needed. I don't think that the whole slimness is a big problem, but just the wrong shape. Feel like adding a little bit something, maybe also on the body, on the torso. Some cool details. Not sure what exactly though. Maybe some kind of zipper or, you know, a string of buttons. A little bit of folds of cloth. Also, someone said that it's kinda weird that these are so spiky, and I agree. Let's make them the same way the top of the hat goes. Like sort of spiky, but not completely spiky. I think it will fit better with everything else because nothing else is that spiky. Oh yeah, this looks so cool now. Also, maybe not a straight line here, but a little bit like this. Cool. His hair really looks like a hat now, right? I wonder if that was the intention in the original sketch. He kinda looks like he's wearing a summer version of Finn's hat from Adventure Time. I don't know, but it's definitely a hat in my version. Okay, now let's think on the colors. I want to have really sky blue air perspective and bright sunlight as the background gradient. We're not gonna really go into any details on the background, but I want to have a feeling of blue sky, bright sun, and maybe some kind of green grass on the surface, just a color spot, you know? So let's start with the sky blue. Yeah, probably this one. Image should be obviously pretty colorful, but air perspective shouldn't be like oversaturated. That's never a good idea. Air perspective is what's supposed to make everything go a bit less contrast, less saturated to show the effect of volume. So let's go with first quarter of the saturation, not going any further. And where's our bateau brush? Now, the sky above us here should be a bit more saturated and juicy because there's less amount of air perspective that's kind of thicker to the horizon. So on top, the sky is kind of closer to us. So let's go this way. Let's not go with flat ground, that's kind of weird. So some kind of hills. Now let's add some kind of haze gradient from the sun. The sun itself is outside of the shot, it's somewhere beyond the screen. But the haze, a little bit of a foggy atmosphere, creates kind of like a huge ball of fog around the sun. That kind of happens sometimes. So let's do that. It's probably gonna be of this kind of color. So from that side, I just want to bring in some brightness into the shot. Okay, cool. Now let's remove a little bit of sunlight from the grass to create the shadow from the character. Just a basic spot for now, which will probably remain that. So let's make it noticeably colder, darker, and less saturated, I suppose. No, let's not do less saturated. And not too much colder, because that's not really how things go. Like, if we remove the whole sunlight, the object appears colder, of course. But there's a lot of reflected light all over the place, so it's kind of still receiving a lot of all that sunlight indirectly on itself. So making too cool of a shadows makes it look a bit unrealistic, like there's not enough feeling of reflected light. So don't overdo that. It's not a very good idea to play with the coldness of shadows too much when it's the sunlight kind of situation. In other situations, it's usually not a thing at all to make shadows cooler. You know how some artists do a quick shadow from the character by just cloning the whole character, making it black and then squish it and like putting it on the surface? Isn't that gross? I don't know, I hate when they do that. It looks too detailed and weird and still wrong. That's not how shadow is supposed to work. I mean, it's okay for a really quick concept, I suppose, but I don't know, it doesn't even look that good than just a little bit of effort the way I do it right now. It's not detailed, but it feels a lot more natural and nice. Just like that. Okay, now let's fill in the whole silhouette of the character with one color. The air perspective color kind of thing. But a lot darker, really. Used lasso on a bottom part of it. I don't know what for. Some artists do that, like they use lasso to fill in the initial silhouette of the character. I'm not sure if it's actually faster. Using actual brush for this seems a bit more natural and at least creating some, you know, brush strokes on the silhouette, not just super sharp pixel wide perfect outline. Like, you're still gonna improve the silhouette with more details. There's no need to make it like super perfect. Okay, kind of a cool silhouette. I like it. I don't seem to hate anything about it. Ooh, if we'll nail a precious stone on the shield, it's gonna have the most beautiful distortion of rays from the sun, from that area, onto the character. It's gonna look cool, like some rays from the surface of the water or something, but more awesomely. Have no idea how to make that happen. Okay, let's fill in basic colors for now. I'm always going like through the same technique, but each time I'm sort of improving it. That's why I kind of speak through it. For instance, today what we changed when I was filling in this character is that I didn't choose exactly the air perspective color. I made it slightly grayer, like closer to gray. Again, due to the same idea of nothing should go completely cold when the sunlight is away because it's still there in the reflected light. And the same goes for the air perspective, it goes warmer. So everything kind of like distorting each other. Maybe we even should go a bit warmer than this. Making any color closer to gray means moving it closer to the opposite color. That's how it works. The middle of the color circle is gray, so that's why. Okay, what's up? A bit rough and a bit blurry on the bottom side where I use lasso. Apparently I had some feather on it. Whatever. Now let's fill in some main colors on the clothing and everything. So boots, gloves, and hat should be of one color, I suppose. And the ribbon. Or maybe not, let's go a bit richer than that. So pants I want kind of cyan, I think. Some kind of grapefruit color for the boots. Looks nice in the combination with the cyan pants. Decisions. What's the color of the shoulders? I for some reason want to go with something violet, but probably better go with the same cyan as for the legs. I hope it doesn't look too simple. Okay, I think I'm done with the color choices. Let's maybe add some rough shadows before I pass out. What brush to choose? I want to kind of use soft edges, but at the same time, not really. So as you can see, I strategically used a lot of separate layers for all the pieces of clothing that are touching each other. Meaning, all the parts have their own silhouettes. Nothing is continuing one another in one silhouette. So using the preserve transparency mode, I can easily do this. Just adding shadow without being bothered by any silhouettes. I can use pretty big soft strokes, yet not ruining everything else. If I wouldn't do that, this would be a nightmare. Of course, later on we'll merge everything together and keep working in one layer. At least the whole character will be in one layer. But to begin with, it's a really good idea to do this. When there's a lot of when it's a complex clothing with a lot of layers. So let's think. At some point I realized I was choosing just colors but not really thinking about whether it's a sunlit color or not sunlit. So I think it should be a shadow color, meaning no sunlight, just skylight and a little bit of that reflected sunlight, whatever. So it should be at least a bit darker, I think. Yeah, just a little bit darker. So let's do that. Let's go through all these layers and darken everything. Everything except for the very black details, because they can't go darker than the air perspective color I chose on this distance from the camera. So let's separate those and the eyes. Not sure what to do with the eyes and pretty much everything. How exactly should we go about the style part? We'll see soon. Hide it under the hat. There we go. And now let's start darkening by minus something. Minus 30? No, I think we should go a bit brighter because this is cartoon. There shouldn't be very dark shadows anywhere. Yeah. So, now we hit OK. I use Ctrl U to summon this hue saturation window. Now we press OK, go to the next layer, and press Ctrl Alt U, and it will immediately appear with the same setting already applied. So we just hit OK and move on. And wonder if it works for more than one layer at the same time. Nope. Okay, so this is the shadow part. There's no sunlight on the character. Now let's think how the color will be distorted by adding the sunlight. Remember? Brighter, probably a lot brighter since sun is pretty bright. A bit grayer because yellow color is kind of far away from cyan, and a bit closer to that yellow as well. Now, what is this layer at all? Okay, the hat. Not sure about this brush though, I haven't really chosen the brush yet. Oh yeah, Kusanagi brush. That's one of the new brushes that is kinda soft and at the same time has a lot of nice texture to it. Perfect! I was wondering where will I use it? Okay, now let's pay a little bit of attention to the values. I usually mess this up because I don't think of it at all. How do we... Okay, so this place is facing the sunlight. And, well, this one as well. And this is like really important to make it right, otherwise everything looks kind of flat. And all the effort with the three-dimensional sketching is not gonna work out well. So the point is, this area is actually completely facing. It's perpendicular to the sun, so it's really bright. And everything else, even though it's still not facing away from the sun, it still should be darker because the angle is bigger. So let's go 50% opacity on the brush and just add these everywhere where it's still facing the sun. And now we just smooth out these edges. Presumably we're gonna get a proper values now. See how easy it is? Let me zoom in. Like, to show the volume of the hat, I'll just use the edge of this layer and go with this soft brush and erase some sunlight. And immediately it looks like it has pretty cool volume over his eyes. Cool. But I think in the sketch we actually should go... Yeah, we have to go a lot thicker than that. And there will be some shadow dropping here, but not too much. It's not that angle. Okay, seems cool. Here, it's really important, like here. The shoulder is facing upwards, so it's having this brightest white color. But, say, the front area of the torso is not in the full dense shadow, so it's facing the sun, but not completely, so it's a horrible mistake to make it this bright, for instance. It should be somewhere in the middle. The only thing though, I think white should go completely white when there's maximum brightness. Because sun. Let's start over. Kinda messed it up. So a good strategy to go first in just sun, no sun gradient, and then add the darker shadows later. The shadows of the no sun areas. An example would be here, for instance. Let's actually try to add the darkest, like this, our perspective color, here. With transparency, not too much. And there we go, it looks kind of realistic right away. If you're adding the soft shadows correctly, like not overdoing it. I'm thinking like where the surfaces touch each other, and basically where the skylight wouldn't get to the surface. Somewhere where it's facing down or touching the other object too closely. So it's best to kind of just choose the semi-transparent, semi-sun color first and fill in all the areas in a flat way, just like this. Barely any gradient, like I'm thinking it through a little bit, but mostly just sun, no sun, you know? No real soft changes. And then we grab the brightest sun color and add some on top, if the surface is facing directly at the sun. Like here, and a little bit here, because the top one is kind of facing a bit higher. Same goes here a little bit. And I want to exaggerate, make a good point on this muscle. Oh yeah, this looks cool. See, playing with values, it looks like really kind of realistic and three-dimensional, the muscles, when you rotate them properly with the brightness of the sunlight. Now this is interesting. When we were grabbing the cool color and made it brighter with the sun color, we made it a bit less saturated. Because the cool color plus the sun is warm color, so it becomes closer to gray. In case with red, it's gonna go the other way around. When it was just with the skylight is cool and red is warm, so it was more of a gray color when it was in cool light. And now when we add sunlight, we actually make it more saturated, because warm surface plus warm light allows to reveal more color of this surface. When did it become so complex? Huh, I'm so smart. Okay, let's do this again. Yeah, and slightly warmer. So this is our color. Looks legit, looks like an actual red color lit with some kind of a warm light. Cool. Works. And now let's choose something not as bright, because this thing is not facing all that much. Okay, in here some shadow will take place from the other parts. Yeah, values are really awesome. They're so important. That's why a lot of artists, like the cool ones, they do a lot of studies of values. The best way to practice that is to paint studies from references of white statues. You probably saw that. Probably helps a lot, like to define the proper differences in brightness when you don't really have to think about different colors. It's all just white, so you only concentrate your attention on the brightness based on where the light source is and where the surface is facing and how far away it is from the light source. If it's not sun is basically infinitely away from everything, so the distance doesn't matter. But when it's a bright light source next to the head, for instance, the legs will be a lot darker even though they're facing upwards, so it's getting even more complex. So that's a really important and helpful study to do. I should do that sometime. Like, the basic logic I get, but again, we're thinking on a lot of things here at the same time, and it would be easier to really practice it separately, I suppose. Okay, what was I doing? Right, the red thing. Okay, cool, now let's add the brightest one. Okay, let's actually do the face color. That's interesting. So, brighter like this, and more saturated, and slightly warmer. Legit, maybe a bit brighter, like going to the very top of it. Although it's not facing upwards anywhere at all. Although, wait, there's nose. Forgot about that. So let's keep some super brightness on the nose and everything else will be like this. Wow, that looks really creepy. Like someone torn out his eyes and now there's these black holes instead of it. I think we went a bit too realistic on the skin area. Uncanny Valley. Okay, let's finish the shadow on the face, I guess. Because right now it just looks creepy because it's so white, I think. I'm not sure. Right now it looks kind of weird. Okay, this is it for today. This kind of weird face, I think we're gonna have to rethink it a lot. You know what? I think we just need to remove these really strong folds around the nose. They do not fit this character at all. He should have a lot of a smoother face. Yeah, connecting them like this, from eyes to next to the nose area. And going away with this cheekbone. There we go, much nicer. Solved. Probably. I think it's cool. You think it's cool? I think it's cool. Yeah, this is kind of like a boy kind of feature. Like a kid kind of feature. When there are no actual wrinkles next to the nose. Like not profound at all. Well, there you go. Last minute fix. Yeah, way better. Still, with these eyes looks like a giant rat or something. But anyway, so we fixed the sketch, we chose the colors. Let me know what you think about the colors and whatever bothers you. And we'll continue from this point in the next episode. But for now, I thank you for watching if you did. I guess you did if you're here. Leave a like and subscribe. Tell a friend. Take a walk in the sun. Do whatever you want. And I will see you in the next one. Bye. I definitely enjoy this style. I kind of figured out a lot of cool tricks for rendering, but I really need to sleep on it. Have no idea what happened.